Hey everybody, welcome back to Fully Spooled. On this episode we are replacing this engine mount with this engine mount. So here's the new mount in position, and it has these really cool sliders which helps me position the engine really well. Unfortunately the engine is so far forward that I need to put the slider as far back as possible in order to hit the mount hole on the subframe. So as cool as these mounts are, the biggest issue is these tabs here do not go all the way down to the surface of the crossmember down here. So I need to find some way to add that extra 1.5 inches or so. So the first thing I'm going to do is figure out the angle with my little handy app here of this surface, which looks like it's about 74 degrees or so. And then I need to just make it so these tabs are the same angle. It's right around 74.3. So now this down here should be perfectly parallel with this. So if I add a 1/4 inch plate on the bottom of this, that's going to bring me down to right around here. So I need just about 1.25 inches spacer between the bottom here and the mount. To further complicate things, on the driver's side, this tab, if I were to bring it all the way straight down, would run right into the steering lines in this bolt down here. So I need to find some kind of way to angle this in or build some kind of, I'm not sure what it's going to be yet, but that's going to be a lot more work. That was stupid. I think that makes the most sense. So there we have our new shape. So I'm going to cut this out and then make 3 more. So there's our piece, and we have exactly 1.5 inches extra. So I'm going to cut these holes out and then actually try to mount them up and see if it looks good. So kind of like that. Now I'm going to go test fit it. Well, already they're too long. Alright, so I trimmed a 1/4 inch off of each side. And now it fits actually perfectly. Alright, now that we know our proper measurements, I can take these guys off, trace them onto the metal here, and start cutting. So I have my 3 pieces here, my 3 main engine mount tabs, which hopefully all kind of line up. I'll do some trimming, I guess. Oh, it's pretty close. For being kind of eyeballed. The important thing is to make sure that the holes all line up. So what I think I'm going to do is clamp these all together and then just drill straight through all three of them, so they are definitely 100% going to be lined up correctly. So I'm going to do that. But I have to figure out what to do about this fourth tab, because it's going to have a little bend in it to fit around the power steering unit. So that I should probably figure out right now. Alright, so I went through and made sure all these lines are within, you know, some level of tolerance from each other. They're actually pretty close in terms of how, you know, perfectly they all lined up. The most important thing is that this bottom part is straight, which it is, and that these holes line up exactly. So now that this is all clamped together, I can just add this one on top of it and then just drill a hole through all of them. Alright, good enough. About as good as I can get, I think. So now I can just drill straight through here. That should be fun. Now the proper way to do this is with a drill press, but I do not have a drill press, unfortunately, so I'm going to just do this the old-fashioned way. Look how pretty that is. Alright, here's all three tabs drilled all the way through, and I'm going to use this fourth tab right here for the front part of the driver's side mount to help clear the steering box issue. Really happy with that. So now I got to just mark off on my plate here where the bottom's going to be, make sure these are perfectly perpendicular, and then cut and weld. I'm going to leave a little bit of a lip here just to help with the welding, I think. So here we have the driver's side mount and the passenger side mount. So the great news is these fit perfectly in the engine bay. The problem is I need to add a 1/4 inch plate to the bottom of this, which means they're actually a 1/4 inch too long. I could, I guess, weld the plate on the inside, but then all the weight of the engine will be on the welds and not on the actual plate. And I would much rather, with my welding ability, have the weight of the engine on the actual plate itself. So I'm going to shorten both of these by a 1/4 inch as well as this one, and then that way I can put my 1/4 inch plate on the bottom and it'll be exactly the same length as it is right now. So on the floor here where it's level, that's looking pretty straight to me. Alright, cool. So now I need to do some tack welds down here and then weld these up. Alright, so it's time to do some welding. I'm going to use my imported European microfiber old t-shirt here to use some acetone. Wipe all this stuff down. Alright, I'm going to tack this in place and then see if it fits before doing the full weld. Alright, that looks great on the car, so I'm just going to go ahead and weld this up. That's my best weld ever. Oh, that looks so good. That looks so good. Oh, that's so awesome. Alright, so for my first time really welding 1/4 inch plate, I am really happy with these results. Like I'm so happy with the result. This side was the first one. It looks, you know, it looks good. It's not quite as good as the second one, but that is like, as far as I'm concerned, the best I've ever laid dimes. So I know it's like nothing compared to actually good welders, but this is, for me being a total amateur, I'm very happy about that. Well, after dicking around with this thing for way too long, I've decided that this is too complicated. I'm going to just make another one of these longer tabs. I'll put down all the way to the bottom of this piece, weld it in place, and then I will cut whatever piece out I need to make clearance for the steering stuff, and then I will, I don't know, make another kind of brace to make up for the lost metal. So that's what I'm going to do, because this is ridiculous. Alright, so here's my other longer length tab that I just finished. And here's the base plate. Gotta get these guys attached to this. Man, I'm exhausted. Let's just do this. Well, not to jinx myself a third time, the engine seems to be correctly in place once again, now on the brand new mounts. I added a 1/4 inch steel spacer between the mount flange and the block because it turns out my original measurement was correct and I should not have removed the extra 1/4 inch of steel from the bottom of the tabs there. So I added this on both sides of the engine because my oil pan was actually just barely touching the cross member. And there's our oil pan clearance. It has about a 1/2 inch between the bottom of the oil pan and the top of the cross member. So I just decided that rather than being lame and using a spacer up here, I'm actually just going to weld another 1/4 inch plate of steel to the bottom of this so I can get that extra 1/4 inch of height that I need, and also it'll strengthen up my plate here so it's got, you know, about a 1/2 inch actually of steel. That'll be nice and strong for where this hits the bottom of the cross member in the car. Alright, there we have it. We have our mounts. Now we need to put them in the car so I can measure where to drill the hole through for the subframe. But there we go. 2 identical, perfectly symmetrical mounts. I'm very happy and very proud of this, actually. That sounds super sappy, but this is my first time doing a proper fabrication job. And I think I did a pretty good job considering I kind of just taught myself how to weld. So, that's really cool. As you can see here, the bolt from the steering unit's hitting the welds on the mount here. So I'm going to go through and just grind some of this off so it can clear. So now I have a bit of clearance there for that bolt. Just a little bit of a notch cut out. The bolt goes through. Oh, thank you. Well, both bolts go through the holes. That's a success. Alright, I went and got some grade 8 bolts from the hardware store, so the good thing is they're long enough, and that's what matters, right? Alright, the engine's in. It is finally in. It's mounted quite solidly on the new mounts, which I gotta say I'm pretty happy with. I know I kind of cheated using those eBay top mount sections, but there's no way I could have made those for, I think it was like 80 bucks. It's just not possible for me to do that. So, you know, I'm pretty happy with this. And then on the driver's side here you can see my grade 8 bolt that I just went and got installed, and then where I cut out a little bit of metal here for the, you know, to make room for the bolt on the steering unit there. But I think overall I'm pretty happy with these. I'm probably going to go through later on and weld like a bar across here to there and then one on the back side just to make sure it's extra firm and won't twist or anything under load. Alright, there we have it. The engine's in place, the mounts are made. I feel much better about these mounts than the last ones that were kind of jury-rigged together, because these actually, you know, solidly mount the engine with no weird asymmetrical stuff happening or whatever. So thanks for watching. Stay tuned for more, as always. I have a lot more coming up. I just mentioned the wiring harness, plus I have the fuel system coming up, and then bolting the engine together, and then putting the front back on, and then we're getting close, really close. So thanks, stay tuned for more. Check out my social media links at the end of the video, and please do like and subscribe because it helps me a lot and it gets fully spooled out there. So really appreciate it. We're on the road to 1,000 subscribers, so please do subscribe. And I'll see you next time.